Hey, I'm Henri, and in this video, you're going to learn about the 7 causes of food cravings. The 7 causes of food cravings are when you have a nutrient deficiency, your body is dehydrated, your body is tired, your hunger hormones are unbalanced, you're dealing with a lot of stress, or you're avoiding some emotions, you're psychologically conditioned, or for women, when you're going through your menstrual cycle. Number 1, nutrient deficiency. Nutrient deficiency is whenever our body is craving nutrients from foods that we're not actually getting. So anytime where our body's actually missing or lacking in some sort of micronutrient or even macronutrients, it's going to tell us that it needs something, and that's when the cravings start to kick in. So the problem with this is sometimes we don't always interpret exactly what those cravings are because we don't actually know what's missing from our body. Number 2, body is dehydrated. One of the biggest contributors to food cravings is dehydration. A lot of the times when our body's actually craving food, we're actually craving water. Because our body can't actually tell the difference whenever it's hungry versus when it's thirsty, the signal that we feel is very similar. The problem is when our bodies crave water, based off of familiarity of certain foods that contain a lot of water in it, we think that if we eat those foods, high water content foods, that we're also going to get that hydration as well. That's why oftentimes when we're actually craving foods, we really just need to quench our own thirst. Number 3, body is tired. One of the biggest contributors to food cravings is usually in the evenings. Why am I craving foods late at night? Well, the reason for this is usually because you're tired. Your body's lacking in energy and it's running out of juice, it's running out of fuel. So what it does is it craves those high caloric foods like high sugars or high fat foods in order to give you the energy to keep yourself awake. But what you really need to do is just go to bed. Number 4, your hunger hormones are unbalanced. Hormones are a big contributor to food cravings as well, and if our hormones are not fully balanced and they're kind of out of whack to some degree, we're going to be craving foods when we're not actually hungry. Oftentimes, you might actually find yourself waking up early in the morning and getting hunger pains, thinking that you need to eat and you're starving and you're just so hungry, and if you don't eat any food, you're going to die. This is an example of whenever your hormones are not fully balanced, especially if you were eating earlier that night and you had enough food to be able to sustain you to at least mid-morning. This is a good example of when your hormones are out of balance, and that's what causes those food cravings. Number 5, stress and emotions. Food cravings can also often come from our emotions. They're actually emotional cravings. It's whenever we're feeling stressed or there's a lot going on in our world and all we want to do is bury our feelings or bury our thoughts into food. This is whenever we start to crave those high caloric foods and we just want to have some comfort. We kind of almost want to avoid those feelings, avoid what's going on, and just make ourselves feel better because sometimes those sugary foods can give us those euphoric feelings that we want to feel in those moments. Number 6, psychological conditioning. Food cravings can also come from psychological factors as well. So if you're the type of person that always wants to have some sort of sweet or dessert after a meal, this isn't necessarily a craving or some sort of addiction to sugar, although it can be, but what it's probably caused by is your conditioning. Because you're so used to having sweets after dinner, whether it be something that you've done traditionally with your family or just something that you've done over the years, your body is habitually used to it. So whenever you finish your meal, it's almost like automatic nature that your subconscious is saying, okay, now it's time for something sweet. Now it's time for some sort of dessert. So even though you might not actually need those desserts, or you don't even need those sweets, your body is conditioned to want them at those certain times of the day. Number 7, menstrual cycle. For women, whenever they're approaching their premenstrual cycle, this is whenever food cravings start to increase as well. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's hormonal. A lot of the times, the body's actually going through a lot and it needs a lot of energy. It feels more tired and it needs more fuel in order to continue doing the usual daily activities that it's used to doing. So during this time period, it's not necessarily that you're craving foods because your hormones are all out of whack. It's more so that your body just needs a little extra fuel in order to give it the energy it needs to complete its usual daily activities. And there you have it. Those are the 7 causes of food cravings. When you have a nutrient deficiency, body is dehydrated, body is tired, hormones are unbalanced, you're dealing with stress or avoiding emotions, you're psychologically conditioned, or as a female, you're dealing with your menstrual cycle. What I'm going to show you in the next video is how you can actually overcome these food cravings with each scenario. So we're going to go into more detail on how you can actually stop those sugar and food cravings. Thanks for watching, and if you're new to this channel, click the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on anything that I talk about when it comes to food cravings, sugar cravings, overcoming sugar addiction, or basically any kind of tactics that are going to help improve the quality of your health in your life.